Hello and a very warm welcome to the Chang International Circuit in Buriram in Thailand for our coverage of this qualifying session ahead of tomorrow's 2 TCR International Series races in Thailand. Hello everyone, wherever you are in the world, watching us this morning, this afternoon, this evening. This is Mark James in the commentary box. We've had two very interesting free practice sessions today, which has thrown up one or two surprises, of which more in a moment. But what will qualifying throw up? The usual two-part qualifying session, 20 minutes for Q1. The top 12 go forward to Q2, which is the usual 10-minute thrash, which will decide the grid for both of tomorrow's races. The top 10 being the top 10 for race 1, and the reverse top 10 providing the grid for race 2. So that's where we are. Quite a bit to tell you about. 24 entrants for these two Buriram races, and of course we no longer have the European races that were qualifying for the TCR European Trophy, and so 6 of the TCR Thailand competitors join in the race, and 1 or 2 Thai drivers and drivers from this area will also be taking part for some of the International Series teams, one of which, Kantadi Kusiri, in the number 19 car, is the replacement for Giacomo Altoe at West Coast Racing. Altoe has moved to Mira Racing from this event onwards, and so West Coast Racing has gone for Kantadi Kusiri, currently leading TCR Asia. That's where we are, the 4.5 kilometre Buriram International Circuit. Grade 1 up to Formula 1 standards, and tomorrow race distance both 14 lap races. Humidity coming down, temperature going up. It feels a lot drier this afternoon, a lot more comfortable here, even though it's a little hotter than it was this morning, but the humidity has indeed gone. But Kusiri, as I mentioned a moment or two ago, possibly an inspired choice by West Coast to replace Giacomo Altoe. He was quickest in free practice 1 this morning. The car then had a drive shaft change, which meant that Kusiri missed free practice 2. And that saw the 2 Alfa Romeos of Dusan Borkovic and David Kajaya set the fastest and second fastest times. So the Drivers' Championship contenders, particularly Pepe Oriola, who's won here twice before and really needs a win this weekend. It would be good to see him. But let's head down to the pit lane. Let's talk to the team manager of Mira Racing, David Barry.
Today, and how's the setup and how's it going for you right now?
I'm looking forward to see the performance of the guys on the track. We have made some small changes on the car because we were not so satisfied with the balance, especially with the qualifying setup of the cars. So we'll see. The conditions also changed a little bit, so yeah, excited. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Not with us here in Thailand this weekend, and so I have a new colleague down in the pit lane. You heard there from Siri Bunmi, who is a Thai motor racing commentator. So he's doing the pit lane reporting for us this weekend, and we are delighted to have him on board with us. Not only for the International Series competitors, but also the access he can give us to TCR Thailand guys and let us know what they're doing. There is Giacomo Altoe, having switched from West Coast Racing Volkswagen to Mira Racing Honda, and he was the best of the 3 Mira Racing drivers in FP2, finishing FP2 in 4th place, behind Jean Calvinet and the 2 Alfa Romeos. The other thing to tell you about is that the TCR competitors in Thailand tend to have their first names on the windscreen, not their surname. I'll mention that again as the session goes on. Back down to the pit lane though, and here's Andrew Chisholm from Luke Oil Craft Bamboo.
For Luke Oil, what are some of your expectations, and is everything going your way today?
Yeah, it's going very well. Obviously we had a big repairs to do following the Oschersleben crashes, but boys have done an amazing job, worked really hard. Yeah, we're looking good. We're very happy. Free practice went very well, so we'll see how we go in qualifying.
How's the temperature going for you right here?
Oh, love it. Yeah, really nice. Yeah, makes a pleasant change. We're enjoying it very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I bet it does. Andrew, to be fair, paying tribute to the Lukoil Craft Bamboo mechanics, who have once again worked miracles to repair not one but two cars after the incident in Oschersleben at the start of race 2, which took out both Pepe Oriola and James Nash. The cars were shipped to Thailand virtually as they were, and so the repairs took place here from midweek. And well, in FP1 it was Oriola who was P2 and James Nash P3. So clearly the repair work done on those cars has been to the team's usual high standard. You'll recall maybe last year here in Buriram, James Nash, there he is, had all sorts of problems, went off in a big way in free practice 2 and virtually destroyed the car. The team worked through the night to rebuild it, and while it wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, it was good enough not only to get him second place in race 1, but the victory in race 2. A fairy tale story for the team last year. I should also mention, by the way, that all 3 of the Lukoil Craft Bamboo cars are carrying black ribbons in memory of the tragic events in Barcelona. Natachak Hanjitkasen from the TBN MK iHear Racing team, one of 6 TCR Thailand competitors with us this weekend. And when we're in China in a month's time, it'll be TCR Asia who join with TCR International to form the grid for those 2 races. 30 seconds then until the lights go green. There is our championship leader, Jean-Carl Venet. 2 points are all that separate Jean-Carl Venet from Attila Tashi, who is in second place in the Drivers' Series at the moment. And then Roberto Colchago, more of which in a moment, is third. Stefano Camini fourth, and then it's a gap back to Pepe Oriola, who's 43 points off the lead. Now, I mentioned Roberto Colchago. He is not here this weekend, again because of that shunt in Oschersleben. 3 broken ribs, unfortunately, and so the doctor's advice to Roberto and the Mira Racing team was that he should not take part in the races here in Thailand in case further damage was caused. And so it's the Mira Racing team boss, Norbert Mikulich, who is in the 3rd of the Mira Racing cars. Bear in mind, of course, that Giacomo Altoe is in their 2nd car. So then the cars stream out of the pit lane. A very long pit exit road here at Buriram, which spits them out. There they are on the long straight that leads down to the turn 3 hairpin. That slight left-hand kink that they're going through at the moment is turn 2. And the pit lane exit comes out a couple of 100 metres after turn 1. The slightly more than square right-hander at turn 1 at the end of the start-finish straight. There is David Kajaya in the number 16 Alfa Romeo. 2nd quickest in FP2 behind his teammate Dusan Borkovic. And the 2 of them, a matter of hundredths off the quickest TCR time set here at Buriram, and that was from Gianni Morbidelli back in 2015 in qualifying. So we are looking for times, lap times around the 1 minute 43.4 mark or thereabouts. And could it be that we see a new TCR lap record set in this session sometime in the next half an hour or so? There is Norby, there is Attila Tashi. And you'll recall the last time that Norbert Mikulich drove in TCR was at the team and his home event in Hungary. On that occasion he took pole position and then helped Attila Tashi to get his first TCR victory in race 1. He then repeated it in race 2 to score virtually the perfect weekend, topped only by Gianni Morbidelli's performance in Oschersleben 8 weeks ago when he did the perfect weekend. 5 points for pole position, 25 points for each of the 2 race victories, scoring the perfect 55 points. The usual question of track limits raised its head at the drivers' briefing yesterday. Here in Thailand, it's very simple. They put tyre packs out. So tyres stacked together and then bundled together with a kind of plastic, I guess. There is one in the orange plastic just marking the do not cut point. and there are tyre packs out at various points in the circuit where it's felt that drivers could gain an advantage by cutting a corner, taking all four wheels off the track. So on the first flying lap then, we're watching Norby, who's a slightly surprised visitor to Thailand this weekend, wasn't expecting to be here. He was saying to me yesterday that people assumed that he was coming here anyway, but he had something planned in Barcelona. That could be moved. I think an awful lot of people pulled an awful lot of favours enabling him to be here this weekend. And we've mentioned the Drivers' Series. Important to say also that the Teams' Championship is, to many teams, more important than the Drivers. And Mira and Lukoil Craft Bamboo are scrapping for the Teams' Championship. The pair at the moment separated by 33 points, with Mira in the lead. So around turn 12, the final corner, comes Norbert Mikelic to set the first competitive lap time, which is a 1:45.7. Oriola beats it, Altoe beats it, Vernet beats it, Nash beats it. So already we're down to a 1:44.121 from James Nash. And after 1-2 in free practice 1 this morning, the Lukoil Craft Bamboo drivers saying they got their setup wrong. They made a gamble for free practice 2 and it didn't pay off, as David Kajaya goes quicker still and is the first man to break the 1:44 lap time barrier. So 1:43.820 for Kajaya. His teammate goes quicker still, Borkovic, a 1:43.631. So we're already in exactly the same situation we were in free practice 2. Borkovic leads Kajaya. And a puncture or some damage for Borkovic. He's slowing. So it's Borkovic then from Kajaya, from Nash, Vernet, Altoe, Oriola, Morbidelli, Huff, Tashi, and then Mikelic in 10th at the moment. And Morbidelli has a lap time disallowed. There was me talking about track limits. Even with the tyre packs out, they're being watched very closely. Andriana Borkovic, you saw there already on the phone and tweeting and on social media. Now, what has happened to Dusan Borkovic? Now, I think that's at the outside of turn 2. So Mikelic up to 3rd. Vernet up to 2nd, which immediately bumps Kajaya down. And several drivers having broken the 1:44 mark. So Vernet, Kajaya, Borkovic, Vernet, Kajaya, Nash, all under 1:44. Oriola at the moment is P10. Morbidelli, no such problems this time, and red flags are out. The red flag is out, I'm assuming because that Alpha of Borkovic needs to be recovered. I haven't seen any other issues. That would be it then. So Borkovic then pulling up almost over the white line, but not quite, and so the red flag's having to come out while the Alfa Romeo is recovered. And we'll see if we can find out from GE Force or from Romeo Ferraris, who build and run the car, or run and build the car, if you see what I mean, to see if they're aware of what exactly has happened. So at the moment then, it's Dusan Borkovic with the session suspended. Borkovic quickest from Jean-Carl Vernet, David Kajaya, James Nash, Norbert Mikelic, Attila Tashi, Gianni Morbidelli, Giacomo Altoe, Rob Huff and Pepe Oriola. That's your top 10. Then Cantadi Cosiri in the second West Coast Racing Volkswagen. P11 ahead of Dan Lloyd. Comini is 13th, ahead of Frederick Vervish, his teammate. Aurelien Panis in the Boutsen Gignon Honda is P15 at the moment. He will get an engine change penalty because the engine needed changing. So he will start races from the back of the grid tomorrow. Duncan Indy is P16 in the Icarus Racing Seat. Then it's the first of our TCR Thailand competitors, Parasit Promsombat in car 84. As Dusan supervises the recovery procedure.
Thank God. Maybe we have a chance. Come on. The other three.
Now, did I hear Adriana say power steering? And that's been the Achilles heel of that car for quite some time. So she seems happy enough. If they can get the car back and get it repaired ready for Q2, that time surely a 1:43.631 is more than enough to see Dusan through to Q2, which is all he needs to do at this point. So a lift back to the pits for Dusan. Let me head back down the running order. We got as far as P17, which is the first of the TCR Thailand competitors, Parasit Promsombat. Natanid Liwatana Varagul in the 96 Seat Leon, the only lady driver to win a TCR race of any description. She is in second in the TCR Thailand class. Then it's Chirian Nuya, Ratanin Linatunafong, Natachak Hanjitkasen, down to P21, that is. Then Mato Homola P22, which is not where we expected to see Mato Homola. Excellent. Lartisi Bunmi has managed to get down to the team. Let's hear from Claudio Bortoletto.
And what was the problem with the Alpha today?
Oh, no, one car is okay now. The other car touched the barrier. I don't know what's happened, but we are waiting for the car in the pit just to check.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so Dusan's touched the front right, I assume, against a barrier. And would that have been at... I can't see where that would have been unless he's clipped the tyre pack. If there is one at turn 1. Restart in just under 3 minutes, we're told. As the marshals try to recover the car back to the pits as quickly as possible. Tweaking, fettling going on. And indeed, the marshals have done their best to get the car loaded, secure on the back of the flatbed, and it's back on its way to the pits. So a little over 2 minutes until the session restarts then. And there'll be some anxious faces at G-Force and at Romeo Ferraris when the Alpha comes back. Can the damage be repaired? Is it a simple matter of a control arm or something at the front of the Alpha, or is it more serious? Is it power steering related? As I'm sure I heard Andriana Borkovic say on our pit lane microphone. There is Aurelian Panis' car, the Boutson Gignon car. And so onto the service road goes the transporter and heads back to the pit lane. And indeed, you can see there, it would appear that has the suspension collapsed because that wheel is tucked up into the wheel arch of the Alpha. We'll find out when the car arrives back. Now, what I was saying earlier on about surnames and first names, or first names and family names, we saw there the Opel of Munkong Satyanthirakul, who's the replacement for the DG Sport Competition team. And you saw there it says Munkong S on the door, and the same on the windscreen. So that's, in case you're thinking that I'm using the wrong names, the cars have the first name and then initial of the surname or the family name, but we'll try and keep it to what we normally do, which is we talk about the surnames of the drivers. There is Homola, Satyanthirakul, the teammate. Satyanthirakul, I'm pleased to say, also has a nickname, Turbo. Lots of nicknames. Our pit lane reporter, the new boy to the team, that's Siri. His nickname is Mark, which is nice and easy for me to remember, but it's awfully confusing for our director. 10 seconds then until a scheduled restart. Will we be back on time? You see there the helmet of Pepe Oriola. Green flag. So we restart this session then, Q1, ahead of the 2 tie rounds of the TCR International Series. Restarts after that incident involving Dusan Borkovic. Borkovic quickest so far. But remember, this part of qualifying is not all about the quickest lap time. It's just getting into the top 12 that'll go through. You see on the side of your screen there, the top 12 in black, and then from P13 onwards in grey. And as things currently stand, the 2 Audis, the come-to-you Audis of Stefano Comini and Frederick Vervisch, together with Aurelian Panis, Duncan Indy, Matto Homola, and the TCR Thailand competitors, all not going through to Q2. However, we still have over half the session remaining, over half of Q1. David Kajaya is P3 at the moment. But of the Lukoil Craft Bamboo cars, Oriola and Dan Lloyd are perilously close to the drop. Oriola's P10 and Dan Lloyd is P12. So what can they do to improve the situation, get further up the order? Novi Mikelic in 5th, preferring to sit things out. Tashi in 6th, Altoe in 8th. So all 3 of the Mira Racing cars are where they need to be, but they're now playing the waiting game to see what happens. Can the Audis improve? Can Comini get up into the top 12? Saying to me yesterday when we recorded the preview interviews that he thought this was a very strange season. Last year he only missed out on getting through to Q2 once, and I think he's missed out 3 or 4 times this year, which, considering we've only had 7 rounds, is a bit of an achievement. There is Gianni Morbidelli, P7 at the moment, so he's comfortable where he needs to be and must be happy, considering he's carrying 30 kilos of success ballast after those 2 victories in Oschersleben. So it's Oriola and Dan Lloyd running together. I rather thought that it was going to be Oriola and James Nash. You'll see also the slight differences in livery with the 3 Lukoil Craft Bamboo cars all carrying different Thai beer sponsors. Oriola flashes his lights, the traffic ahead. He wants to know he's coming through, but that's an awfully long way down to, I think it was Comini. Okay, Homola's, I was going to say off the jacks, but back up on the jacks. As that's a novel way of keeping cool from Attila Tashi. So Oriola, you can see from the lozenges at the bottom of your screen, his best sector times in both sectors 1 and 2. So too is Vernet, currently P2, remember Vernet. Oriola needs this much more, currently 10th. Hard on the brakes then for the right-hander at turn 12, turns onto the start-finish straight, and the timing beam, the timing loop, whichever you prefer, is there. Now he crosses it, and Oriola improves to P1. Quickest of all goes Pepe Oriola with a 1:43.478, bettered immediately by Jean-Carl Vernet with a 1:43.456. So Vernet from Oriola, Borkovic is pushed down to 3rd, Kajaya 4th, Kusiri in the West Coast Racing Volkswagen is now 5th, Nash is 6th, Dan Lloyd meanwhile is 9th in the other Lukoil Craft Bamboo car, so he's also improved. Morbidelli is now down to 10th, and so he's also on his outlap because he needs to do something. Altoe has dropped to 11th. Rob Huff is down to 12th. Comini and Vervisch still outside the top 12 at the moment. So I suspect we're going to see Giacomo Altoe coming out very shortly as Dusan Borkovic briefs the team on what happened. Does that mean that the damage is not repairable? There doesn't seem to be any great urgency, certainly amongst the team management. Rob Huff, as you see at the bottom of your screen, has set the best Sector 1 time of all by just 9,000ths of a second. Oh, a wide line from Panis in the Honda. There is Huff, currently P12. So needs to up his game to get through to Q2 and knows it. Vervish pops in a time which will put him into the top 12. He's now P11 in the Audi. Kamini still P15 and in the pits. So Huff comes across the line and improves. No, he doesn't. Rob Huff, I thought, would have improved. But no, indeed, a 1:44.321 was his best lap time, and obviously had an issue in that last sector. Car 18, which is Duncan Indy, has had his lap time cancelled for track limits at turn 1. Hanjitkasen, Natachak Hanjitkasen goes up to 19th. And is the second TCR Thailand competitor. Panis is in the pits. Liwatana Varagul, now P21. Huff on the ragged edge, currently P13, so outside the all-important top 12. Nash improves to 4th, ahead of Kajaya. There's Rob Huff's engineer, Nigel Clyde. Oh, very, very wide for Rob Huff. Will this lap be deleted because of track limits? Sliding his way through. You can see just how much the former world champion really needs to up his game. And indeed, the message comes up. Car 3, lap time cancelled. So, Rob Huff, because of track limits at turn 12, and I'm guessing this lap is going to go as well. Some anxious faces at the Leopard Racing. Now at the moment, Rob Huff is still P13. He's had his last lap cancelled, but we also saw him run very wide on the lap that we've just seen. Frederick Vervish has had a lap cancelled. And Satyan Tirakul, Munkong Satyan Tirakul in the DG Sport Competition, Opel Astra, has just set the fastest Sector 1 time of all, which is an eye-opener, to put it mildly. As we saw there, Dusan Borkovic's car get pushed back into the pit lane. Only 5 minutes of Q1 remaining, just over, and there's only 5 minutes between the two sessions. Is that enough time for GE Force to get the Alfa Romeo back out? So as things currently stand, Rob Huff not going through to Q2, neither is Stefano Camini, who's on his out lap. Mato Homola too, back down in 23rd position, so Homola not going through. And as things currently stand, you see the black lozenges, so Huff is not improving. Tucked up behind Jean Carvenet, who very sensibly pulls in, and no, indeed, Huff comes in. So the clock is ticking. What can the team do to get Rob back out in time to set a quicker lap? Let's see if we can pick up Kamini's sector times. Kamini's, there he is. Kamini's just gone green in Sector 1. Several other cars having lap times cancelled, but we're concentrating on Stefano Camini as Matto Homola improves, but it's not enough. Homola goes to 14th in the Opel, but he'll need to be top 12 to go through to Q2. As expected, Giacomo Altoe is back out. He's now the most vulnerable of all in 12th place. So Camini then heads up to the line. He crosses it and improves to P6. So he's done what it takes. You can see the exhalation of breath. That takes the pressure off the team. Both their cars at the moment are through to Q2. As Norbert Mikelic goes quickest, ahead of Attila Tashi. So Mira Racing, first and second at the moment in Q1. Venet third, Oriola fourth. Giacomo Altoe's improved to fifth. Then Borkovic in the pits, but can he be repaired? Sixth for Borkovic, seventh for James Nash, eighth for Kajaya. Camini is now ninth. Cantadi Kusiri in the West Coast Racing Volkswagen is 10th. Morbidelli is 11th. Dan Lloyd is 12th. And all of those lap times over the last 30 seconds or so have dropped Frederick Vervisch out of the top 12. As Aurelian Panis has gone into the top 10. He's P9 currently. Homola on a charge. Gold sectors 1 and 2. So Homola currently P16. Onto the brakes for the right-hander at turn 12. What can Homola do? Crosses the line now. And P2 for Matto Homola. Talk about leaving things late. Less than 2 minutes of the session remaining, and Homola is secure. That's a job well done. Slightly more stressful in the background. And indeed that... Does that look like Dusan's getting back in the car? Because the earpieces are going back in. That's the intercom. Duncan Indy going wide behind Vervisch. So, David Kajaya's last lap is cancelled, but he won't be worried too much. P9, so at the moment he's going through. Vervisch is throwing everything. His best sector times in 1 and 2. And so with Duncan Indy tucked in behind the Audi, Vervisch on the brakes then for the right-hander at turn 12. Vervisch currently P15. What can he do as he crosses the line? No! Frederick Vervisch will have one last stab at it, but he's still 15th at the moment. So as things currently stand, Gianni Morbidelli, P13, won't be going through, nor will Dan Lloyd, P14 and in the pits. Frederick Vervisch, P15, Rob Huff, P16. Duncan Indy, P18. Well, the balaclava's going back on, so it looks as though whatever it was has been repaired. Rob Huff, though. This will be his last stab at improving, and indeed, black lozenge in Sector 1. So, checkered flag at the end of the session. Can Huff recover? He's something like 4/10. Oh! Runs wide. I was just going to say he's about 4/10 away from P12 at the moment, but that won't have done him any good. No, indeed, the timing is confirming that Rob Huff in the second of the Leopard Racing Volkswagen Golfs will almost certainly not be going through to Q2 like that. He goes past the entrance to the pit lane, brakes for turn 12, but I think we know where this is heading. Crosses the line now, and indeed 6/10 off his best lap time. And look at this, slinging the car around Buriram, but that's not what was needed. and so it's only the one car that Leopard have going through to Q2. And I think that's pretty much it for Q1. No one else is going to improve, I don't think. So it's the honours going to Mira Racing and the two Hondas of Norbert Mikelic and Attila Tashi third. Mato Homola splitting the two, so it's Honda, then Opel, then Honda, Jean Calvinet P4, then Oriola, Giacomo Altoe, Dusan Borkovic, James Nash, David Kajaya, Aurelien Panis, Stefano Camini, and Cantadi Kasuri. Good decision by West Coast. Because, of course, the reverse top 10, if Kasiri can qualify 10th or 9th, front row start in race 2, could we see West Coast Racing add to the 2 victories that Gianni Morbidelli scored in Oschersleben? So Homola's car receiving some attention before Q2. Munkong Satyen Tirakul not going through to Q2, P17 for him in Q1. So disappointment then for Gianni Morbidelli, Dan Lloyd, Frederick Vervish, Rob Huff, Duncan Indy, and all 6 of the TCR Thailand competitors, along with Munkong Satyen Tirakul. So now we know the 12 drivers that will go through to the second stage of qualifying here in Buriram. Let's confirm it for you then. Norbert Mikelic quickest from Mato Homola, Attila Tashi third, Jean Calvinet fourth, Pepe Oriola fifth, Giacomo Altoe sixth, Dusan Borkovic seventh, James Nash eighth, David Kajaya ninth, Aurelien Panis in 10th, and then Stefano Camini, 2-time TCR International Champion 11th, and Cantadi Kasiri, P12. That'll do nicely for West Coast. At least they have one car going through to Q2. And with Gianni Morbidelli carrying the maximum 30 kilos of success ballast after his 2 victories, I think that's probably the best the team could manage. Let's hear from Dusan Borkovic then. He's talking to Letsiri Bunmi.
Mr. Burnovic, can you give us a little recap of what happened on the track today?
Yeah, I made a mistake. I did only one lap. I did the first lap. I wanted to see the behavior of the car, the grip. I did a really good lap. I was the first, but I knew that I can push. But I tried to push, and then I made a mistake in the first corner. I cut it like 1 centimeter more, and then I touched the inside tires back and hit with my tire, and I broke completely the wheel. And it's a pity because I had a good pace to be in the top 3 for sure, but maybe pole. But because Alpha was and the boys are working really hard, and Alpha is pretty fast on this circuit, so I'm really sad because we had like really slow circuits before this one, before Thailand and Oschersleben and Hungaroring, and the pace of Alpha was not so good. But here it is really good, and if they don't fix, I will start for pit 12, which is really bad.
All right. Best of luck to you later on. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Well, refreshing honesty from Dusan there. My mistake, he says, just 1 centimetre was all it took. He clipped the tyre pack at the inside of turn 1, and that's what caused the damage. However, I do think he's being rather hard on himself, because he's been saying to us all day, and has David Kajaya, that they're really a lot happier with the car on this quicker circuit than they were at both Hungaroring and Oschersleben. And so it would be good to see a decent result in qualifying for either or both of the 2 Alfa Romeos. A delayed start to Q2. As yet, we don't have a rearranged start time for the second stage of qualifying. But at least both of the Alphas are through to Q2. What can Kajaya and Borkovic do? They know they've got the pace. Borkovic, refreshingly honest, as I say, that just after setting that quickest lap of the session so far, he just thumped the front end of the car. Actually, no, thumped is too strong a word. Clipped the front end of the car and caused the damage which forced the red flags to come out, the car to be recovered, but at least the team have got the car repaired, and Borkovic is able to start Q2. Rob Huff explaining to Nigel Clyde whatever issues he had, whether he wants changes done for the races, but he will start both races from 16th on the grid. And his role, remember, is to support Jean-Carl Venet in whatever way he can as JK goes for the driver's title. And Rob, well, let's not put a jinx on it, but starting from so far back on the grid, you have to say he's got his work cut out to get up there and help JK, who will be starting from 4th in race 1. So, one of the Opals, and all 3 of the Mirror Racing Hondas make it through to Q2. Will we have yet another different name as a pole sitter for this event? So far we've seen David Kajaya, Mato Homola, Stefano Comini, Frederick Vervish, Homola again in Salzburg Ring, Norbert Mikelic in Hungary, and then Gianni Morbidelli in Germany. So from the 7 rounds so far, we've had 6 different pole position winners. And in terms of race winners, well, Kajaya has won 1, Oriola has won 1, Colciago has won 3, Borkovic 2, and Venet, who is leading the Drivers' Series at the moment, only having won once. That was the 2nd race in Spa. So our multiple race winners. Colciago has won 3, Comini's won 2, Borkovic has won 2, Tashi won both in Hungary, and then Morbidelli won both in Germany 8 weeks ago. That says it all, doesn't it? Thank you, Stefano. It was that close. So Comini P11 with a 1:43.874. So it's about between just over 3/10 of a second between Comini in 11th and Morbidelli in 13th. It was that close, so he's right. So the marshals tidying up. I think that's at turn 1 from what I could see. Some bush engineering going on at GE Force. Still waiting for a start time for this 2nd stage of qualifying. If you're just joining us wherever you are in the world, you're very welcome. This is the gap between the 2 qualifying sessions here at Buriram in Thailand. We have 2 races for you tomorrow, which promise to be crackers, because we've got some very curious times so far from the 2 free practice sessions. Q1 went almost as expected, in that the 2 cars that were predicted to be quite strong here, which didn't really show in the 2 free practice sessions this morning with the Honda and the Opel, and that's exactly what happened. Honda, that of Norbert Mikelic, is quickest. 2nd quickest is the Opel of Mato Homola. 3rd quickest is Attila Tashi. 4th quickest Jean-Carl Venet. And then 5th quickest is Pepe Oriola. And 3 of those drivers, Tashi, Venet and Oriola, scrapping for the driver's title. But Oriola really could do with probably a win and a podium here, with some misfortune befalling his rivals for the driver's title. He really does need to get back up in touch. The first 4, remember, separated by just 9 points, and then there's a 34-point gap back to Oriola in 5th. But as I keep being reminded, there are still 165 points up for grab from this series. We still have 6 races to go until the series ends in November, and so anything could still happen, bearing in mind that our series leader only, if I can describe it like that, has 153 points. So driver and engine being kept cool in James Nash's car. I'm still seeing TBC on the timing screens, so we still don't know when Q2 is about to start. And to be honest, I'm not quite sure why, because the marshals did seem to be tidying up their work and finishing what they were doing. I'm looking out across the track from what has to be the best view from a commentary position of the entire season. I'm sitting up at the top of the main grandstand overlooking the start-finish straight. I can't quite see down to my left, down to turn 1, which I think is where the marshal action is taking place. Let me just quickly weave my head from side to side. And indeed, I can see probably 80%, 90% of the circuit from my position. I just can't see turns 1 and 12, but I can't see any recovery work or repair work going on out on the circuit now. I don't know why, and I don't know if this is a mistake, but I'm seeing Gianni Morbidelli's number 10, on the Q2. Now, does that mean that instead of the marshals delaying things, there could be an issue with possibly somebody having a lap time deleted, and that's the problem? Because Kamini is there, so let's have a quick look at this. So 59 Mikelic, yes. 70 Mato Homola, yes. Tashi, yes. Vernay, yes. 74 is Pepe Oriola, as a slightly surprised Gianni Morbidelli is encouraged back into the car. And we're now being told that the start time for Q2 is a little under 3 minutes away at 4:13 local time. So where were we? 74 is Pepe Oriola. 21 is Altoe. 54 is Nash. 16 is Kajaya. And it's 62 who's missing. So 62, Dusan Borkovic is missing from that lineup. And presumably the team have told the organisers that they weren't going to make the repair in time. There is Dan Lloyd, disappointed to have missed out. But it is Dusan Borkovic that's not in my revised lineup on the timing screen, which means that a slightly surprised, there it is on your screen to confirm, and you'll see that there is no 62 in there, which means that Gianni Morbidelli takes the place of Dusan Borkovic in the revised starting lineup for this 10-minute thrash of Q2, which is now a little under 2 minutes away. Now, I'm also wondering, and this is me thinking aloud, did Borkovic receive outside assistance to come back to the pits? Because, of course, he was recovered by the marshals. And so is this a separate session? No, I don't think it is. It's all one qualifying session. So this is pure conjecture on my part, because I'm in my bunker at the top of the stand. You see there the glass windows at the top of your screen, at the left of the stand as you look at it. I'm in one of those little boxes there. So you can imagine I'm right at the top of the grandstand, and so whatever is happening 4 floors below me, I'm afraid I won't be able to bring you that until we get to the races tomorrow. No problems though for Pepe Oriola. He was expecting to go through to Q2. And you have to say it's a bit of damage limitation from the Lukoil Craft Bamboo guys, because far from expected to dominate, the Seats that have won every race, every TCR race that's been held in Buriram, they're just sort of playing things down and saying, well, actually, if we can be the best sort of non-Honda or non-Opel at the end of Q2, we'll be happy. Which, I don't know if they're playing a tactical game and playing a bit of a mind game, but that's the man who was quickest in Q1, and in theory it'll be one of the front runners in Q2. Norbert Mikelic, team boss of Mira Racing. taking the place of Roberto Colciago, the injured Roberto Colciago, as we go green for Q2. The cars nose their way out. 12 cars then, including both of the West Coast Racing Volkswagens. There they are. There is Cosiri, there is Morbidelli, who is slightly astonished to be told, get in the car, you are doing Q2 after all. And it'll be interesting to see the tactics here. And remember, Panis, there he is in the black and orange Honda, the Boots on Gignon car, will be starting from the back of the grid tomorrow regardless, because of an engine change that was applied for here in Buriram. So then, surprise, surprise, all three of the Mira Racing cars running together, the two Lukoil Craft Bamboo cars running together and preferring to brake. There they are, look, in the back of shot. So they've chosen to take their time and get a clear track ahead of them. And how much can Mikelic help Attila Tashi? Kamini's on his own, no teammate. Vernay's on his own, no teammate. And indeed there is Kamini's teammate, Frederick Vervish, drinking from his water bottle. There is David Barry, the team manager of Mira Racing, probably quite stressed at the moment, I would have thought. We heard from him earlier. Kamini saying that he thought that the Audi would work quite well, particularly in the first sector where you have the long straight between, effectively a straight with just a very flat out left-hand kink at turn 2, between turn 1 and turn 3, the hairpin, and then there's another drag down between turn 3 and the S's starting at turn 4. So then, the cars on their first flying lap. That's the scene in the Come To You racing garage. So, Norbert Mikelic leads the way ahead of Attila Tashi, locks up under braking, slings the car into the hairpin. That's where James Nash had his big accident in free practice last year. So Mikelic then punching a hole through the air. And look, Tashi tucked up behind him. Altoe tucked up behind Tashi. All three playing the tactical game this weekend to get maximum points for Tashi for his bid for the driver's title. And for the team, remember, scrapping for the team's championship. At the moment they're fighting with the 3 Seats of Lukoil Craft Bamboo, only 2 of which have made it through into this second stage of qualifying. So sector time starting to come in. Quickest in sector 1 so far is David Kajaya. Quickest in sector 2 is Pepe Oriola. Into the long left-hander at turn 10. Through the right-hander at turn 11, then down to turn 12, the right-hander that takes us back onto the start-finish straight. So then, first representative times for this Q2 session are in. They're across the line, and Mikelic bettered by Tashi. Altoe 3rd, Vernay 4th. Kamini is 6th, Oriola 5th. Kajaya goes quickest though, with a 1:43.078. And in fact, that... Kajaya, 16.2 and 74, all having their lap times deleted because of track limits. So, Kajaya and Vernay and Oriola all having lap times very quickly. Oh, blue smoke from the Alpha. It pulls over in the same place that Borkovic pulled over in Q1, and the smoke is pouring from the engine compartment. That is it for David Kajaya, and that is a cruel, cruel blow for the team who lost Borkovic in Q1. They've now lost Kajaya in Q2. And is he safely off the track, or will it require further intervention? Oh, you can see the frustration from the Georgian driver exactly halfway through the session. Mato Homola is quickest then so far with a 1:43.093, which is a new TCR lap record for Buriram from Mato Homola. James Nash is second, Attila Tashi third, Mikelic fourth, and we have a red flag, unfortunately. Red flag is out, session has been stopped while Kajaya, and I don't think that was an overtake, I think that was, and the marshals making sure, I didn't see any flames, but the engine bay of the Alpha getting a dousing regardless, and you can see just how frustrated David Kajaya is. More lap times being deleted. Tashi loses a lap time, as does Mikelic. So where does that leave us as Kajaya's car is being recovered? Claudio Bortoletto is well, dumbfounded, I think, is just about covers it. So, clock has stopped. 4 minutes, 44 seconds of this 10-minute Q2 remaining. Mato Homola is currently the man in pole position for race 1, ahead of James Nash, Attila Tashi, Norbert Mikelic, Giacomo Altoe, Canto Di Cosiri, Stefano Comini, Gianni Morbidelli, Aurelian Panis, and Jean-Carl Venet. Kajaya is already out, and Pepe Oriola, having not set a representative lap time, already in the pits. So Kajaya heads back thanks to a helpful marshal, leaving his car to be recovered, and more work for GE Force and Romeo Ferraris to do this evening to get both cars fettled and ready for tomorrow's 2 races. Fingers crossed this will be a short interruption. The car is already behind the barriers. The question is, of course, was any oil put down? And so will the marshals have to go out with the dust to soak up any oil that's on the track? Difficult to say from our camera position. No message on the timing screen as yet. Canto Di Cosiri, quickest in free practice 1, missed out on free practice 2 because of a broken drive shaft. There is James Nixon, team boss, showing Canto Di what needs to be done. So Cosiri at the moment is P4. Morbidelli in the other car is P6. Will there be an effort, I wonder, although it's difficult to target with the gaps between the cars so small. I was going to say, will there be an effort to try and target P8, P9, P10 so that they're towards the front of the grid for the second race tomorrow. But that's a very tough call to make. Miss it and you miss out in both races. So, drama then here in Buriram. Some anxious faces, the nerves not being helped by the second interruption to qualifying. And a restart in just over a minute. Restart at 4:23 local time, so exactly a minute from now. Q1 was red flagged because of the incident involving Dusan Borkovic, his teammate David Kajaya, and that spectacular plume of smoke coming from the Alpha, causing the interruption, the red flag to Q2. But of course only one driver effectively will now miss out, because Kajaya didn't set a lap time, and so it'll be 11 of the 12 that'll score lap times. So whoever is 11th will start from P11 in both races. 10 seconds then until we're back underway, excuse me, here in Buriram. Attila Tashi can't wait to go back out. So the lights go green. We're back on track, literally, for this Q2 in Buriram. 11 cars take to the track. And who will miss out? Who will be on pole for race 1 tomorrow? Who will be on pole for race 2? We will know, all being well, in around 4.5 minutes' time. There is Mato Homola. There is Aurelian Panis. Homola quickest so far, ahead of Nash, Altoe, Kusiri, Comini, Morbidelli, Panis, Vernay, Tashi, Kajaya, who will play no further part in the session, Norbert Mikelic and Pepe Oriola. And Vernay, Tashi, Mikelic and Oriola have not set lap times. So they will get one tilt at this effectively. Remember that the lap times are around a 1:43 or thereabouts. They may just get a second flying lap, depending on how quickly they can get this out lap done. Can Mato Homola claim his 3rd pole position of the year? And if he can he convert that into the first TCR International Series victory for the Opel Astra? There is Kajaya. Bitterly disappointed. So once again, the 3 Mira Racing cars running together, or virtually together. So Mikelic ahead of Tashi, ahead of Altoe. So everyone's got around a minute to get across the start-finish line to get 2 flying laps in. Mats Fischer from Yas in Italy. He's here with his team boss to come and see their cars compete in the TCR International Series. A new Honda Civic, remember, will be built over the winter by the team, and so whilst teams can still buy and use the current Honda Civic next year, there'll be a new look Civic on track, not only in the International Series but in the various national and regional TCR series next year. So, sector time starting to come in. Mikelic, green in sector 1. Kusiri, green in sector 1. Morbidelli and Vernay and Oriola, green in sector 1. So far then, Mato Homola's best lap time, a 1:43.093. James Nash, a 1:43.314. And everyone careful to pick their line carefully. They don't want to lose lap times at this stage with just over a minute of the session remaining. They'll cross the timing line in about 15 or 20 seconds, less than that probably, so they'll get another flying lap. What have the 3 Mira Racing cars done? Mikelic P2, Tashi P4, Altoe P6, P7, behind Oriola who's P6, Vernay P4, Nash P2 now. So Homola still quickest from Nash, from Mikelic, from Vernay, Tashi, Oriola, Altoe, Kusiri, Comini, and Panis P10, Gianni Morbidelli P11. But they're all across the line. And James Nash flashing his lights at Gianni Morbidelli. The stern faces there of first Andrew Chisholm from the Lukoil Craft Bamboo team. And you also saw Antonio Rodriguez from Seat Sport. Tashi heads past his team leader. He takes his turn at the front of the chain as the clock counts down. The checkered flag comes out to mark the end of the session. And on the timing screens, Vernet will have his current lap time cancelled. So the current lap time from Vernet will not count. And so currently P4 with a 1:43.320. So through turn 11 comes Attila Tashi for the final time in Q2. That's Altoe behind him. Tashi currently P5, Altoe P7. They take the checkered flag, and have they improved? No, indeed. Attila Tashi still 5th, Altoe still 7th. Vernet 4th, but it won't matter because the lap time is being disallowed. James Nash, who backed off, we saw earlier, P2. Mikulic has come into the pits. We're still waiting for Kusiri. And Morbidelli has surrendered by the looks of things, P11. So with all that, the 30 kilos of success ballast, he's decided that heading into the pits is the best thing to do. But Matto Homola, without needing to cross the finish line, is the quickest man. The smiles say it all from DG Sport Competition. The 3rd time this season that Matto Homola has taken pole position. He gets the 5 points. James Nash will start race 1 from the first row of the grid, alongside Matto Homola, and with the reversed grid, it'll be actually Stefano Comini who'll start race 2 from pole, because Panis, who's currently P10, will have a grid penalty for the engine change. I'm just quickly trying to work out whether that means that there'll be a hole on the grid, or will Gianni Morbidelli move up? All I know for certain is it won't be Aurelien Panis on pole for race 2 tomorrow, at least. That's the way I'm currently thinking. Unless somebody points out to me the specific regulation, or is it the... In fact, I'm about to correct myself. I think Panis just gets the engine change penalty for the next race. I'll go and do my homework. But Matto Homola, for the 3rd time this season, will be holding up the Pommery Sparkling Performance sign, and you can see what that means to him. Now, Matto, you need to convert pole position into victory tomorrow, but you have the small matter, 2 small matters, of James Nash, also hungry for victory, alongside you on the grid. And behind you will be Norbert Mikulic and Jean-Carl Vernet on row 2. Let's get confirmation of the result then from the 2nd stage of qualifying here at Buriram. Matto Homola takes pole position from James Nash, Norbert Mikulic, Jean-Carl Vernet, Attila Tashi, Pepe Oriola, Giacomo Altoe, Cantadi Kusiri, Stefano Comini and Aurelien Panis, with Morbidelli and Kajaya missing out. But let's hear from Matto Homola, our pole position man for race 1, who's talking to Lutsiri Bunmi.
What an amazing run. Can you give us a little recap of what's been going correct the whole time?
Yeah, first of all, thanks to my team, and they did a lot of good work. I like this track, hopefully, honestly, and last year it was also good qualifying. I like the layout. The car is working really well. We have a good base setup, and in free practices we were using just old tires, so we don't know where we are. But yeah, this proved that we are really fast, and just to prove it in both races.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I don't know who was more excited, do you? Well done, Matto. Well done, DG Sport Competition. Pole position once again. In fact, Matto Homola, the only man to have qualified on pole more than once this year. That's his 3rd pole position. The elusive victory. Will it come in Thailand, I wonder? There is the sign I was talking about. There'll be the sensible picture, which is that one. And then there'll be the picture of Matto doing something like drinking or I won't tell you what Stefano Camini normally does with that sign, but you can probably imagine. So, 2 interesting races in prospect tomorrow here in Buriram. 2 14-lap races. It'll be Homola and Nash on pole for race 1, which begins at 14:30, 2:30 local time. And then race 2 at 4:05 local time. Fingers crossed we'll have the pleasure of your company at some point tomorrow for that. But you have to feel for G-Force and Romeo Ferraris for the problems that they had in qualifying here at Buriram. Thanks for joining us. It's been an interesting afternoon. Hopefully, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.